Well, hello and welcome to the PTA Global Webinar Series. My name is Dan Duran and I have Hugh Hanley joining me here today. A few housekeeping things I want to throw out real quick just to make sure everything is working properly and that everybody is tuning in properly. First and foremost, we have a little panel on the side there that says questions. That's how you'll interact and communicate with us. If somebody could type in there and say, yes, I see you, and I can hear you, that would be helpful because we don't know who we're talking to right now. We want to make sure that all systems are go and everything is working. So, all right, there you go, Dean. Dean's WEC is on. Dean, can you see us?
Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, there we are. I'll have to tell my brilliant story one of these days because I picked that up in the UK. Okay, perfect. We're ready to go. So I'm just going to do some real quick housekeeping. Everybody's muted that's out there, right? So you can't say anything, and that's just so we don't get a lot of background noise. We're going to go about 30 minutes or so and then some Q&A. So please type your questions in the question panel. I'll be looking off to the side here, and that's me looking at questions. And I'll, if they're appropriate, I'll throw them at you right during the webinar. Otherwise, we'll wait till the end and ask them at the end. There's no exam for this webinar. And there are downloads for you. Please look at the little box that says handouts on your control panel and download the items that are in there because we'll be referring to them and they'll also give you some additional information to add to the webinar itself. So with that, the housekeeping is out of the way. Again, my name is Dan Duran and it is a pleasure to have my good friend and business partner, Hugh Hanley, on the call. So Hugh, if you could tell the folks a little about yourself.
How you doing, Dan? Good to catch up. So I'm Hugh Hanley. I'm currently Chief Information Officer at My PT Hub, which is the world's biggest online platform for personal trainers. But before that, I spent 20 years in the industry, starting out as a fitness guru inside a commercial health club, worked my way up the ranks into personal training, then into regional management. I then moved about 10 years ago into a head of fitness role at Virgin Active, where I was there for about 9 years as head of fitness and personal training, which was the best role ever. You know, someone who's in fitness and PT, when you're getting to lead the troops, at that stage, nearly 1,100 PTs. We were doing seminars, we were creating PT academies. It was just phenomenal. So I did that for about 9 years, then left Virgin Active, did a small stint with another operator over here called Bannatynes, which was just around putting in a new PT model. I've then done some work with WeWork around their wellness offering in EMEA. So how do they get all their members inside a corporate facility to move better and be healthy? And then I joined PT Hub as I've worked with the guys since they launched 5 years ago, which is where I am today. And obviously everything that's gone on in the last few months, we're busier than ever, to be honest, Dan.
Yeah, and it's been very interesting, hasn't it? Depending on what role you play in the fitness industry, since that's what we're talking about. Some of us have been busier than ever. Unfortunately, a lot of folks were out of a job or gyms were closing. So there's a lot of contrast, right? And what we certainly have seen is people in the industry taking that time to sharpen their saw to learn. And that's what really kicked this off and why I'm so glad that everybody was able to attend. Let's keep sharpening that saw, keep learning. Now, Hugh, I've had the opportunity to work with you and meet you in person. A ton of experience, clearly been doing this for 20 years plus. And one of the questions that we like to ask all of our panelists, because they've all had many years of experience in the industry, is thinking back maybe to when you started 20 years ago or so, there were certain traits or characteristics, right, that really ensured that a fitness professional was successful. And looking at what was important 20 years ago and looking at today, where do you see that what traits would you say, characteristics, knowledge, did they need then that they still need now?
I think it's still the basics as well. I think, if you're thinking about the current industry to what was relevant 20 years ago, it's the trainers that have that give quality and service their clients and add value constantly. So they're always adding value. It's making sure that they're going above and beyond. The biggest KPI when you're managing any sort of PT business or even as a trainer is your retention rates. Are you retaining clients? Do they see the value in the service you're giving them? And that's the key. And 20 years ago, it was the same. A trainer who gave good quality service and good value and knew their clients well, retained clients. And with everything that's changed in the last 20 years, it's still the same. You know, a good trainer who adds value to a client and services their client. It's a service industry, will maintain their client. So I think the basics still say the same, Dan. And I would never go away from that personally.
And I love that, Hugh, and I love that you're stressing the importance of retention. I believe what I've seen, and maybe you've seen the same, is how much emphasis is put on sales, which are important, absolutely, but very little emphasis on retention. And we know it takes a lot more time, effort, and money to acquire a sale than it does to maintain a client.
Yeah, and I think, you know, from my time on the floor and even, you know, managing teams, it's the trainers that are actually not just delivering sessions. So they're, you know, they're putting in 30, 40 minutes a day planning their day, 30, 40 minutes a day prepping. You know, they might spend 5.5, 6 hours delivering, but then they also have 30, 40 minutes to review the day. So they're always in that cycle. So they're constantly delivering. I think some trainers fall into the issue of session, and then they wonder 6 months down the road why they're not holding on to clients, because they're not planning, they're not prepping, and then they're not reviewing what they've done with those clients. And, you know, that's kind of stuff around the edge that actually retains clients. It's not just about the 1 hour they spend with you. So, you know, again, like I said, I think it's really important trainers just emphasize on spending time outside the session on their clients.
Brilliant. And you know, if anybody, any listeners out there that have been through the PTA Global Education know that we put a lot of emphasis on that, on the retention piece, as well as preparation, what you do at the beginning of a shift, the end of a shift, and how important that time is. Hugh and I got to know each other because Virgin Active utilized PTA Global Education on board their trainers and using those systems. So you see that consistency there. Now, Hugh, not only looking forward, so looking forward in the industry, which I know you're doing all the time because we're trying to have vision of, you know, what we need, adjustments we need to make now to continue to be successful in the future. Throw in the COVID, right? That kind of threw us a curveball, so to speak, using American baseball terminology. What would you say for the fitness professionals out there now, the next 20 years, the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what are going to be the skills, traits, and knowledge, the areas that they need to really be competent in to truly be successful moving forward?
Yeah, I think, you know, the biggest thing for me, I think, is changing is the clients changing massively. You know, I think as trainers, we need to be aware of the client demands and how they're shifting. You know, the clients are a lot more educated than they ever were 15, 20 years ago. So we need to be on top of our game as trainers, and we need to deliver that service. And in the world we live in now, you know, one bad service to one client can get you a very bad reputation very quickly. So it's vitally important for me that trainers actually understand the importance of the client and how that client is changing. You know, the client right now, I think in the last 3 months, you've seen it more than anyone, Dan. The clients are getting PT on demand, group exercise on demand. And then when the gyms open again, as they're opening up over here, you know, they're going to have the opportunity to go into a club. They're going to do it outside the club. They can do it in the park. They can do it digital. They can do it physical. So the client has got this whole array of opportunity and different ways they can absorb fitness. So how do trainers stand out in the crowd is the big one. So I think it's really key. They understand the client is changing, but also being aware of how they need to change with the client and not just being stuck in, well, I've always done it this way and being successful. You know, it's a very different client you're dealing with nowadays. I think looking forward as well, if I was a trainer, I would get to understand the data. You know, and by that I mean is you now more than ever, you know, I've done PTA Global and we used to do the readiness questionnaire, but for the first time ever, I have live data of, you know, my client's wrists, if I'm integrating with Fitbit, MyZone, Apple Watch, if they're wearing an Oura ring. So when a client is coming to me in the next 2 to 3 years, I have all this data telling me how ready they are for that session so I can tailor it. So the problem I see with a lot of trainers is they don't understand the level of data. They think, you know, all the data sits there, but they don't know what to do with it. So in the next 2 to 3 years, I think it's going to get a lot clearer how to use that data. And that's where a trainer can really step into their own. You know, if you come to train with me at midday and I can look at you in the platform and see, okay, you didn't sleep well last night, you only had 4.5 hours, your heart rate hasn't recovered, I'm going to change my session to suit you. And I can do that through digital, as in the minute you come to me, without even talking to you, I can see that things aren't right. And that for me is the biggest change. So the service is a lot sharper, a lot cooler, and a lot more ready to go for the client. It's the big one coming, I would say.
It's amazing, and I'm sure you would agree. You know, having been in this a long time, like myself, it's mind blowing what we can learn now, just right at our
Yeah,
fingertips. Literally,
absolutely.
it's mind blowing.
Yeah, and like the classic example, Dan, in our world is, we're a bit older probably than some people, but we used to get people to try wear pedometers 10 years ago and guesstimate their steps. Now I can take every client off their wrist and see their steps for the last 2 to 3 months, and look at it and go, you're averaging 6,500 steps a day. Let's put on 10% for the next week. That's live coaching on the go through data, which is like data's only at the start of where we're getting as well. So I think that's the really cool, exciting part for the modern trainer is you can remote coach phenomenally well. And then when you have your client in front of you, you can give a better service.
So what I'm hearing here, over the last 20 years in being successful to date, it's building value, delivering great service, being prepared, and moving forward because of the digital age, because of all the technology that we're having, it's continuing to provide value and provide service. But now you have the opportunity to really up your game using this technology.
Yeah, I think for me, I think I'm excited about the opportunity we have as trainers because I think you can now give a more personalized service than you ever can. I know some people are a bit intimidated by digital, remote, but you now have all this data and all this personalized, every aspect around your client that you never could before. And you can critique everything to help them achieve their goals. And then, ultimately that's just going to lead to referrals. But the data serves up all this information. It's what you do with it that makes the difference.
I love it. Now, I want to remind the listeners out there that if you have questions, type them in the question box, okay? Put them in there. There's a lot of experience that I'm talking to you here. Please do fire them away so that we can make sure and make this about you and what it is you want to learn. So Hugh, taking that concept that we've just been discussing, there's a term that is new to me, and I actually learned it from you, and that is building a digital presence. What does it mean to build a digital presence currently?
Yeah, so just I suppose obviously everyone's on the digital bandwagon at the moment, so to speak, because of COVID. But digital has been growing massively in the last 2 or 3 years, as we all know. But some industry stats to kind of back up before we talk about that, Dan, is digital fitness was growing at 50% year on year pre-COVID. So that's 50% growth year on year pre-COVID. The gym industry was only growing at 13% pre-COVID. Now, obviously, those markers are completely shifted in the last 3 months, but it just shows you the elevation that digital was getting coming in over the last few years. And obviously now it's escalated to a whole other level. So the industry is now kind of digital crazy. So it's really important that trainers understand how do you do a digital presence, and you've got to think of it as a business. There's two sides to building a digital presence. And it's not just going and creating tons of workouts and putting them out in the world and hoping that somebody buys them. You've got to think of it as a business. And the way I kind of split the two elements is, one is the top line would be, what is your offering? So inside there would be, what are the digital products you're offering? What is the memberships that you might offer? What's your one-to-one coaching business model? And then the value ladder would be around, how do you spend your time? So in a physical club, as we all grew up in, that would be prospecting. How do you prospect in the digital world? You still need to be doing your prospecting and generating your leads. And then how would you put all that together? So that would be the business top end of your process in building your presence. And then underneath that would be digital marketing. So how do I digital market, which would be your emails, your social media and stuff, which, is vitally important. I can delve into it a bit more. I don't know how much detail you want to get into, Dan, but it kind of gives people that understanding of, you've got to approach it like a business. Same way you would approach a brand new health club. If you were trying to build a PT business, you would have a plan of attack. You would know your audience. You would understand how you're going to interact. You would understand how to deliver a taster. You then need to think about that in the digital world, and they both sit side by side going forward.
Okay, Brilliant. Now, can you give an example? I think that would be helpful. Let's say, John Smith is not leveraging digital technology. And you could use the name Dan Duran because that's something brand new for me. And and you want to give John or Dan, you just maybe the top 3 pointers of where to start and what that looks like to start building that presence. What would you say to me or to the other guy?
Yes. So to Dan, or your alter ego, whatever you'd like it to be, the first thing I would say is first understand what a digital product is. This is new to a lot of people, and a digital product is something that can be delivered and used by your customers without you being there. That is ultimately what a digital product is. So some examples on that will be a 12-week fat loss, a 10-week muscle and strength, or a 4-week workout of the day CrossFit. That is a digital product. So if I, as Dan Duran, put that product out there, you can buy that product from me and use that without me being there next to you. So that is ultimately what a digital product. Once you build that digital product, whatever it might be, then you need to decide how would you do that as a business. So is it campaign based? So this will be something around there's a start and a finish. So you get a lot of this around, summer six pack or whatever way people want to team it. Get summer ready. It's got a campaign. It's your sales tool effectively, but it has a start and an end date. So if it's a getting ready for summer, it disappears come summer, and it doesn't come back till next year. You then will have maybe like what we would call like an evergreen package, which will be your shop front, always available. And this would be something that a customer could buy whenever, wherever. So that could be just a 4-week strength program. And that would be always available for members to buy at a low price point so they can get access to you. And then as part of a digital product, you would do some special offers. So you might decide that Black Friday, you want to go to town and sell your 10-week weight loss or your 12-week body transformation. So you do it. So that would be the different digital products and then how you would sell them out. So that would be the first element of your business, if that makes sense, Dan. So your first tip is build some digital products, decide what buckets they're in, and then get them ready to go. And that will be kind of like your way of attracting people into you. The next thing you want to do is build a membership model. And membership model in the digital world, it helps add additional layers of security to your business. If you're in a commercial health club, the membership model is we get reoccurring dues every month. In the digital world, you would like people to be paying you, whether it's £5 a month, £40 a month, but they're paying you a guaranteed revenue to be a member of Dan Duran's PT business. And then you decide what that membership offering is and what it looks like. The good thing about the digital side of memberships is they're scalable, and in the digital world, there's no overheads. So you can really push it up, and it can sit as a one-to-one offering, or it can be an add-on to your one-to-one offering. So examples of membership models in the digital world that we all know, Dan, will be Netflix, iTunes. You're paying $7, $10 a month, but that's a reoccurring membership model. So you want the same in the PT world. Whether that is they pay £10 a month to get access to your blogs, to all your great videos, your content, or they're paying £50 a month, which means they get one session with you and access to all your content. That's up to you to decide what is your membership. But you want to get people into that membership so you get the reoccurring revenue and you have this solid foundation. Then you kind of, with membership, some people might look at doing some free trials or founder offers, but you just want to get that security into your business. So one is build your digital products. That's for 3 tips. 2 is get a membership into your digital business. And then 3 will be have your one-to-one coaching. And one-to-one coaching will be physical and digital. So I can serve you remotely, as people have found out nowadays, but your one-to-one will be your highest service that you offer as a trainer and a coach. And they're the 3 things you want to get right. So in the digital world, one-to-one coaching will be client check-ins, accountability, personalized programs, personalized nutrition. This is my premium package, and that might come with face-to-face sessions with me if you live near me. And or it might be video calling, whatever way you want to build your memberships. But these are the different scales of personalized service you want to get in your one-to-one coaching. So they'd be kind of the main 3 tips, Dan, that I would give anyone trying to start out to pull it together.
Excellent, love it. And thank you. I see some questions coming in. Don't forget to type your questions in. I'm actually going to address one or two of them here pretty quick because I think it's going to flow really well with what we're talking about. Now, Hugh, we talked about, you talked about, with the growth of digital technology and being able to know what your client, where they've been, what they've been doing, and so to speak, before they even show up for a session. Leveraging that technology, if you could say the three most important things I'd want to have some data on for that person that I'm coaching, what would those three most important things be that I'd want some data on?
It's a tough one, Dan, because it's like everything in personal training. It all comes down to the client's goals.
Yes.
If a client's goal is weight loss, ultimately you would love to have their nutrition. That is ultimately the holy grail. I think the easiest thing is to get your client's step count. That is easy. They all walk around with devices, whether on their wrist or mobile phones. Personally, I'm a big fan of the sleep technology, which is improving massively. For me, that is again the holy grail. If I have a client come to me and their whatever data they're using for sleep says they've 4 hours sleep, the session is very different than probably the session I would have planned. And then calorie expenditure. I appreciate that the watches are debatable, but ultimately it gives you a guide to work off. And you can see when you were very active the last 3 days, you've been very inactive this weekend. What's gone on? So they've kind of be again, without getting specific, not knowing the client's goals, they're the kind of things I'd be looking at.
Brilliant, brilliant. And if you've been through any of our PTA Global Education, in particular the exercise and stress management, or attended our workshops that are based on that, like the mentorship 2 or next level programming, we talk about the different ways to measure how ready your client is, so their readiness for that session. We talk about digital, and we talk about the daily readiness observation, 9 questions we ask the clients, a tool for PTA Global. And what I remember learning 8 years ago, I think it was, from co-founder Scott Hobson, is it's world class if you can bring those together, because you have the digital element, then you have the face-to-face questionnaire. You bring those two together and you're truly meeting your client where they need to be met. So we're headed in a great direction here.
Yeah, and now, it stops the client lying to you, doesn't it? It takes away any client discrepancies.
That it does.
I wasn't out last night drinking till 1 a.m, but your activity says you were. So
that's good. That's good. I like that. Now, I'm going to throw a question in here because it's going to lead me right to the next question I had for you. I'm going to have 2 questions. Dexter asks, are there any specific apps that allow us to connect with clients and their data in this way? So what we've been talking about. And Dean says, what kind of content would you suggest works best for a digital membership product? So this, I think, is a good opportunity to talk more about my PT Hub and how that might be fit those needs, as well as just give the listeners something to be aware of if they're shopping, what they should be looking for in a product.
Yeah, so what was the first question again? So it was around
specific apps. Are there any specific apps that allow us to connect with clients and their data? That was Dexter.
Yeah, so in our world, the PT Hub, we integrate. We have a lot of integrations open where we pull in different things like Fitbit and a few other health devices, etc. We'll integrate, but majority of the apps your clients are using will be able to be shared. They'll be able to share to compete with their friends. So as a trainer, you just want to get shared. So if you're using MyFitnessPal, they can add you as a friend, and you can see what they're eating. If they're using MyZone, you can add as a friend, and you can see their heart rate and their workout. So there's that way around it. In our world, we're very trainer led, so our dashboard will pull in all that data and it would sit inside our platform, so we can see it as a coach what we want to do with the data. So that answers Dexter's question. Dean's question was the membership piece, was it?
Yeah, what content would you suggest that works best for a digital membership product?
Yeah, so I would have it more around building your blogs, live Q&As, live workouts with you. So if you're doing 2 sessions a week that were live for your small group, that they would get access to that. They would then have the potential to do a one-to-one session with you if you're doing physical sessions. and then they would get access to your remote coaching. So you would build up a package of 5-6 things that you have in there, and that could be your blogs, etc., your Facebook lives that they get private groups they get added to. So you want to create as much value in that membership for them, from live streaming, live workouts, personalized program, blogs, nutrition, recipes, etc. That all sits in your membership and they get access to that. It's up to you then to decide when you drip feed it out to them. But it's about adding as much value into that. And then the one thing I'd say with memberships that I've seen in the digital world is it's important to have that waiting list. You know, don't go mad and think I want millions of members. You know, set your fee, build it up to the certain amount of digital members that you're happy that you can serve, and then use that and make sure you give them the service that they want. You know, I see a lot of trainers do well in this. They get to 100+ clients, they just can't control it, you know, and then it dwindles really quick. So you still got to always make sure that you don't outgrow too quickly, and do it slowly by making sure you're adding value and you can keep your hands around it, especially if you're still delivering physical sessions.
Brilliant, brilliant. Now, Ryan asked, and again, this leads me, I'm taking some questions early because it's really leading to how I want to the final questions I want to run by you. Yeah, and what Ryan says is, what platform is best to build a membership base on?
Well, I'm going to obviously say my PT Hub.
Yes.
And it's not a sales pitch. You know what? Like you know me, Dan, for years, but
yes.
I was head of fitness for Virgin Active. I was there for 9 years, and that's how I met the guys at my PT Hub. We ended up using them to digitalize our business for our trainers, and that's how I ended up working for them, because I liked their ethos, I liked what they stood for, and you know, they listened to trainers and built a platform for trainers. So I'm obviously going to say my PT Hub, because you know, I fell in love with the product from working with it as a trainer before I ever was employed by the company.
Well, and you know, full disclosure to the listeners out there, that's why I became so interested in this particular brand. Is I've known Hugh for a number of years. I know his reputation. He's a trainer. He's a coach, and he's a coach of coaches, and he grows businesses. So I knew if he was a part of this company, then it was going to be a great company. So Hugh, just kind of high level, if somebody has a membership with My PT Hub, and we've talked about, you know, having a digital presence, we've talked about being able to track, you know, data, building membership models, building content and so forth. Can you talk about directly My PT Hub and how it can help you solve for those different things that we've been talking about?
Yeah, so my PT Hub is a full client management tool. So what it can do is take all your payments, manage all that processes for you. You can create personalized packages there for your digital products that we spoke about. So you'll create digital products that you can put out there for people to buy through your own social media platforms, through your own online, whether it's, you know, a 4, 8, 12-week program you want to design. You know, if your niche is triathlon based, you might design an 8-week triathlon program. So my PT Hub is fully personalized for trainers to run their PT business. It takes all the payments, it does all the program, full exercise library sits in there. The good thing about then my PT Hub is then you can add in files, so you can personalize it as much as you want, and all the different elements of a trainer is in there. So if you come and join, you know, just say it's My Fitness Business, I'll give you my onboarding. So if I wanted to have Most Style, which you and I know very much about, Dan, the PTA Global Most Style, you know, I will have that as my onboarding. So anyone who comes into PT Hub in my business would need to go through the Most Style questionnaire before I can even see them as a client. So I will know what their style is, and then I will design a program for them. And that's when I would put them into my membership model after they've gone through one of my programs. So I'd get them to go through my digital product, so they get to know me, they get to understand me, and then I would sell them into my membership model. And that would be just a reoccurring payment every month that they would be paying me. And with that, we'd agree the different levels of service that I was going to give them. And that's all sits inside the platform. And that's why it's scalable. Like I said, we have trainers with 250 clients in membership models, which is just servicing very low level, but they're just giving them a security blanket. And then they might have 30 clients that are their one-to-one high service level clients. And then they'll also have their shop window where they get their digital products, that they might have another 200 to 300 clients. But they've got this constant cycle of digital clients coming in and out, and then they have a physical business sitting inside it. And I think for me, that's the beauty of the world we're coming into. As a trainer, 20 years ago, I didn't have the opportunity bar going into a commercial health club, whereas now, I can do digital, I can do one-to-one, and I can have the best of both worlds. And it's an exciting time, I think.
Well, if the things ever went completely sideways for me and I went back to full-time coaching, that's definitely what I would be doing. If you're not embracing the new technology, you're going to fall behind, and you're going to get you're out there in the race for success. The people that are passing you are the ones that are embracing the up and coming instead of stuck in their old ways. So great stuff. And that really was what I wanted to learn more about, and I wanted the listeners to learn more about, is what exactly my PT Hub provided. Another great question here from Mia, and Mia says, with the vast free content on fitness we now have in social media, what's your advice on how we can compete with those as we ask clients to pay us instead of them relying on the free stuff?
Yeah, I think it's the free stuff is everywhere nowadays, but it's about that personalized service. Again, it goes back to the start what we spoke about, Dan. 20 years ago, it was the trainer that added the most value and delivered quality service. So if you're doing free stuff now, that's kind of like your prospecting, your tasters. It's then getting them to see the value in you and what you can do for them if they decide to continue on with them. So as things get back to normal slowly but surely over the next few months, people will realize there's a lot of stuff out in the internet, but they'll actually want to just go to someone who's servicing them well. And it's about knowing your niche. So, for me, I love strength training and I love, body transformation. And that would be my niche. And I would just be constantly adding value to those clients, helping them with their strength, but ultimately giving them nutrition, giving them personalized recipes to suit their goal, and adding value that, the free content's great, but that's not personalized to me and my clients. So it's about making it personalized to your clients and to your niche where you want to do your business, and it'll come. You just got to be diligent. The social media is another element which we haven't even spoken about, but that needs to tie into what your product is about. You need to be just talking to people about the value they get from training with you, all the additional stuff you're going to give them, and then they'll get hooked eventually.
Brilliant. And we're right back to the value word, right? We're right back to the value. And there's a saying I like, which is free has no value. So there comes a point where you have to definitely monetize the service if you've put the value into it. Brilliant. Yeah. Now, I had another question that came in earlier that I want to that could be regional. So I want to make sure and ask it here. Before I move on, Mia, thank you for your question. And let's see. Where did you go? Here we go. Forgive me if I say the name wrong. Upsar, thank you for asking a question, Upsar. Do I need any special license or insurance for training clients online?
I would double check, but from my understanding is a lot of the current insurance companies now cover that. I know a lot of the companies in the UK, so I might be regional over there, but in the UK, a lot of the insurance companies we use over here now cover that under the fitness liability insurance. But it's worth checking. I know for me as a trainer, I check out my insurance and it was covered about as a code of practice. But again, I'm only speaking for the UK.
Right, and it's going to be the same in the US. You definitely need to check with your provider. Here in the US, we have a partner called Sport and Fitness Insurance that offers private, liability insurance. And if anybody's more interested, feel free to email me after the webinar. Contact me, dan.d@ptaglobal.com, and I can point you in that direction. The thing I would throw in there is I think what we're seeing, at least here in the US, and Hugh, speak to the UK, is some gyms are starting to embrace the remote training and understanding that that can be part of their business model if their trainers are leveraging their time and training clients outside the four walls of the club. And if you're actually working under the umbrella of liability for a health club, in that case, their insurance would cover it if it's a product that they're offering and you're an employee for that company. I don't know if it's the same way in the UK.
It would be, yeah. And I think, if you're an operator and you're not offering remote coaching, you're dropping the ball as well, aren't you? It's the new norm. I know I hate to use the cliche, it's the new norm, but 2 to 3 years ago, we spotted this trend and we got on it around. This is the best way to connect and add value to our members outside our four walls. And COVID made that happen quicker, but if an operator wasn't thinking about how to connect to their members outside their four walls and adding value and fitness and personal coaching and all the different digital tiers, you've got to come up to the play pretty quick now.
Yeah, for sure. Tanetta, if I said that wrong, she said very exciting. So thank you. I'm glad, and for being a person that's used to talking to people in person, and I'm speaking to a camera right now. I'm glad that somebody's feeling that way, because that helps give me energy. I'm sure it does for you as well.
Yeah.
Now let's see. Great question here from Phil. I wonder if that's the Phil I met in the UK, because that Phil, I'm not going to say your last name, but it sounds very familiar. What he says, his question is, would you say that having a website is essential? It seems that so many people now use social media to find services now. So the question is there still value in having a website for your business?
I would say yes all day long. I think, it's your shop window. You can never be overexposed to a degree. So, reality is, in a commercial health club or in your regional area, if I'm interested in purchasing personal training, the first thing I'm going to do is take out my phone and tap in personal training in California or wherever I'm based. Personal training in here I'm in a place called Radlett, so I'll type in personal training Radlett, and then I'll look at all the trainers in that area, and I'll probably click on the website before I go near their social media. The social media will be me then thinking, okay, I like what they're offering. They seem they're very good on their website. I'll then go and delve into their lifestyle and understand a bit more about their personality and social media. So for me, the website is still key. I think that's where you sell your business. You got to remember, it's a business you're running. Social media is just an insight into your life, and that's not a business to a degree. Even though people run it as business, it's just a snippet. The website is where people will go to really dig in to understand you better.
Excellent. Great question, Phil, and thank you for answering. And he followed up with a great question, and that is building a website something that my PT Hub offers assistance or guidance or suggestions on?
Yeah, so inside our app, we have a thing called the Marketplace, and in there's a company we work with that we give reduced rates to build a website. So they're experts. We stay in our lane. We're great at the PT and the coaching side of it and the digital, and then they build the websites for the trainers to help them out at reduced rate.
Wow. Okay. Excellent. I didn't even know that. So good to know. And no, Phil, he's not the one that met me. Dang it. I met a guy at FBA, actually. That was one of the coaches there. Now, somebody followed up with the insurance question, and that's very important, right? Because if we're branching out and going out on our own and making sure that we're covered liability-wise, we don't get ourselves in a jam. So Tony says, what if I work for a club that covers it, but I also have my own business that does online PT? Do I need separate insurance?
I would say yes, because if you, and again, this is, I suppose it's probably that a give declaration is in, get it checked legally, because I'm not giving you the correct answer, I'm just giving an opinion. I would say yes, because if you're working with a client that's not attached to that health club and they go over on their ankle, you haven't a leg to stand on to use the health club insurance. So you'd probably want to have your own cover liability and just call up your insurance company and say, hey, does my fitness insurance cover this? As I say, in the UK, the one I use does. So I'd check that out.
Excellent. And I would say the same thing for the US. Same answer. Absolutely same answer. Let's see. I'm going to do one more. Zach. Thank you, Zach. And thank you, Phil, for the questions. Zach says, is building an email database and having an email newsletter a good way of getting online clients?
Yes. So we, I know we haven't got into it today, but we use a thing in the digital world called the value ladder, which is kind of like your prospecting, where you should spend the majority of your time, and that is on your social media and on your emails. So, if I use the old analogy of I'm a new PT in a commercial health club, it's the more hands I shake, the more money I make. Effectively, I go around, I talk to people, I interact, I add value, they get to know me. The digital world is the exact same. Get the emails, send out some information, add value to them in emails so they know you're the real deal. And then in time, they will research you more through your social media. And if that backs up your message, like the emails you're sending out in your social media seems to look the same as what you're sending them, they'll buy into you, and then it'll come from there. But I would agree all day long. So, you need to do the emails, but add value, because, I might click on your email once, and if it's really poor, I'll probably just unsubscribe.
Great advice. And I'm going to throw in just a quick example of somebody who I see doing that here locally where I live in the United States, in Idaho. I met with a real estate agent or a lender, and did not end up using that person, but I got put on their mailing list, and I get emails about every 2 weeks, I think, and every one of them has something really interesting in it, whether it's tips for gardening, cooking, recipe, things that I'm I get from them. So I think that's a perfect example of adding value and having something in there the first time you look at it, you're not going to look at it again.
Absolutely.
Great
And it's about knowing your audience.
Yeah, knowing your audience. Last question. I said that last time, but we're on the insurance question again, and I think it's very important as we're branching out into new areas. Does homeowner insurance cover online PT? And what are your thoughts on that, Hugh?
I would say no, but that wouldn't be a legal answer. This is my opinion. I think, I pay extra for my own personal fitness insurance and liability. So I think I don't think home insurance would cover that.
Yeah, and I again, neither one of us are attorneys or work in that space full time. I would definitely agree with you, but what I would say is your insurance broker might possibly be able to assist you with something like that. So what I used to do is my homeowner's insurance broker sold me $1 million liability policy that he just tacked on to, my car, my house, and it was very affordable. I don't know how much that's universal, so it might be worth asking your current insurance provider to find out what's covered. So that's definitely an interesting area.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I think we're gonna put a pause on the questions now so that we can be respectful of time and kind of wrap this up. Hugh, if the listeners want to learn more about My PT Hub, the services you provide, or learn more from you, what would be the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so obviously we just spoke about it there. Go to the website, My PT Hub, and all our information is there, and they can have a look at the app and all the functionality of the app and all the stuff that the app can do to support them on growing their business, scaling their business, and helping them add value to their clients, and also acquiring more clients. So they can go to My PT Hub, the website, look at that. It's also on all the social media platforms as My PT Hub. So I think at the moment we have a 30-day trial on free of charge. They don't need to put in any credit cards or anything. Go in, download the app, have a play. And there's 90,000 trainers using it at the moment, so it's fairly robust, and see what they think of it.
Excellent. And for the listeners that are tuned in right now, about an hour after the webinar, it should be about an hour, you'll receive a thank you email, and in that email we'll have more information on how to connect with My PT Hub. You'll also see a special offer in there, being a partner with PTA Global. So I believe it's up to 40% off if you decide to choose a membership. So make sure you check out that email, check out those links. You'll also see a special offer from PTA Global. And if you're a member with My PT Hub, you'll see in the marketplace that PTA Global is in there, and we have offers in partnership with them that you won't find anywhere else. So check us out there, check out the email, and stay tuned. Some great stuff. Hugh, any parting thoughts as we kind of wrap this up?
No, it's just great to catch up. And I think, the only thing I'd say to any trainer who's fearful of it, just do it slowly, and it'll come in time. But the digital's not going anywhere. spend time on building your products. Don't rush into it. Build products you like and you're passionate about. Don't just think you need to do everything. You know, just do things you're passionate about and build it slowly. And a year from now, you'll have a great digital business. It doesn't need to. You don't need to retire from one-to-one PTA if that's not your goal. I would never suggest that for me. I love the physical element, but it's another way to earn money that wasn't there years ago. So you should be embracing it, thinking about, you know, if I'm earning X amount as my one-to-one, this is only going to help me earn more, and it's going to take you less time. So spend your time and do it well.
Great advice. Many thanks to Hugh Hanley. Thank you for sharing your expertise, your experience, and your time with all of us. Many thanks to all the listeners out there. I know many of you are going back to work, I hope. So your time is to be available, to be able to tune into a webinar like this becomes more and more limited. So thank you for taking that time, tuning in, sharpening that saw, trying to get, you know, like we say with the Kaizen principle, get just a little bit better every day, and ultimately in service of those people that pay us money, because we work for them. So thank you all, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Tune into more webinars from PTA Global. Thank you, Hugh.
Cheers, guys.